Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to the Coaches Show, the Davidson-Davie Community College Coaches Show with Matt Ridge. I'm Miles Poole, along with Jared Bowman, who's engineering tonight. Brandon Mullis on the camera, and we want to thank Matt Jacobs for allowing us to come in once again to the Eatery in downtown Lexington, where we've done the Coaches Shows all year long. And, Coach, this is it. I mean, this is the last Coaches Show, a little bit different than we've done in the past. We've got some hardware in front of us here.
We do.
We're going to talk about that.
It's not necessarily the hardware I wanted, but it is some hardware that we're proud of. It certainly took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but we were just a little bit short of the hardware we wanted.
Well, it's a step closer, and it is a piece of hardware that you haven't gotten yet until now, so it is a step.
That's true.
We also have a special guest tonight with us, David Tripp, a former DDCC player in the house with us tonight as well.
David is so special to me for a lot of reasons, and I can't wait to hear him speak tonight. He has improved not just on but off the court as much as any young man I've ever been around, so I'm so proud of him. He's just graduated with his undergraduate degree and his master's degree, and he's getting ready to probably sign with an agent to play overseas. So just so proud of David.
Well, we'll have a chance to sit down. We actually, a couple of weeks ago, talked to one of David's teammates, Jeremy Ritter, was here with us as well. So it's good to have the former Storm players come back and share their experience. So we're looking forward to that. We also want to remind you can ask the coach a question. We'll be monitoring the Facebook link here as we go along, so please feel free to send those in, and I'll try to make sure that I catch those. But let's get right into it, Coach. We want to talk about your run in the tournament and to the championship game. So let's jump into it. After the selection show, you guys, number 1 seed, you're going to play 16th seeded Oakland, and 2 days before you guys are ready to leave for the tourney, Oakland has to back out because of a COVID issue. So now things are kind of up in the air for you, and you're moments away from getting on a plane and heading up to the tournament, but you don't know who you're going to play yet. So what were your thoughts as you waited for the announcement of who your opponent was going to be?
Well, Brian texted me around noon on Friday. We flew out on Sunday morning, so I had a little more than 24 hours to prep for our opponent. So I immediately texted and called Chris DePue, who was the chair of the committee, the seating committee, and he told me it would more than likely, the way things were looking, probably be St. Clair Community College. So I immediately went on to Synergy and started watching film during my planning period at Southwest Guilford and broke some film down for Friday evening's practice. That night, I spent about 8 to 10 hours on St. Clair, prepping a scouting report, drawing up their plays. That way, on Saturday, I would be better prepared to really show our guys what they're probably going to see on Tuesday afternoon.
So St. Clair, is not a 16th seeded Oakland. I mean, this team finished the year ranked 6th in the country. They were a highly ranked team. So now you're facing the 6th ranked team in the country. Any concerns at this point that this might be a big distraction for you heading into the tourney?
One of our players actually has the Serenity Prayer, has a tattoo. And so Friday at practice, I had that player read the Serenity Prayer to our entire team, and it is, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can change, and the wisdom to know the difference. We couldn't change who we were going to play, but we could, change our mentality and our prep going into that game. And I was so proud of everybody in our program to not sit there and complain and make excuses about, how things unfolded. COVID is a unique situation. There's no way anyone could have ever guessed that it would have played out. And it really played out the worst case scenario because the 16th seed got COVID, and then they had to be replaced by the next team that would have been the at-large berth, which was the 6th ranked team in the country. So you're right. Our first round game was not a typical 16 seed. They were the 6th ranked team in the country.
So you guys get up early on a Sunday morning as you prepare to head out to Illinois. How was that ride to the airport? What's the mood of the team at this point?
The kids were just excited. I mean, over half our team had never flown, so half of them were nervous about getting on the plane. So, you know, we picked around and had a good trip. You know, I enjoyed this group as much off the court as I did on the court, just being around them all week, you know, going out to eat, just spending time with the guys, because me being a high school math teacher, I don't get to be around them as much as you would if you were a high school coach off the court. So having that entire week to bond with them off the court was fun to watch how they interacted every day, day in and day out throughout the day.
So did you guys, up to the first game, did you have a lot of downtime? Were you able to share some downtime with the young men?
Well, you know, we're in the hotel. We eat 3 meals together a day. We usually had 2 meetings a day where we would go over scouting report and film. But we would just hang out in the lobby. You know, the local Channel 5 there in Danville would show all the games on the TV. So a lot of times when we weren't playing, our kids would watch all the other games in the lobby, and we would just hang out and fellowship. And then when we would go out and eat, I mean, the whole town of Danville, this is the biggest event they have all year in Danville. So, you know, when you wear your storm gear, when you go out and eat, it's like people are just dying to meet you. They come up, ask for autographs. It's crazy. It's just a neat experience.
So game one, you know, you really never know how folks are going to react on a stage this big. So you go in, 6th ranked team in the country. How do you think your team came out in the first half against the Skippers?
You know, offensively, we weren't terrible. I think we put up close to 50. But I think we just kind of felt our way through that first half. Didn't play great defensively. But the second half, man, our guys just locked in defensively. I think we held them to 25 points. And we, I think, put up close to 50 in the second half. So, you know, we were able to play some guys deeper in the bench to save some of the guys in the rotation that played more minutes throughout the tournament, which was good. Some of our starters and other guys got to rest their legs because you had to play 4 games in 5 days.
Yeah, you outscored the Skippers, I think, like you said, 47-25 in the second half. But you didn't do anything different. I mean, it was basically just the kids kind of getting it under them.
Correct. We didn't really make a lot of adjustments. We just tightened up defensively. We were making some defensive mistakes. Transition defense wasn't great at times. Early help, 1 pass away, we were getting split. So you guys really bought into what we were telling them at halftime. They needed to do better at a higher level and play with more of a sense of urgency. I think we had 3 players in double-figure rebounds. I think Tim Boulware finished with 12 rebounds, Javion 10, and Nas, I think, finished with 13 rebounds. So, you know, the second half, we really owned the boards, held them to 1 shot, and got out on the break and did some good things.
All year long, you've been telling me about how your philosophy really is inside out. And if you look at what Nas Baltimore was able to do in that game, along with Boulware, who you mentioned, both of them had double figures in scoring, but double figures in rebounds. So double-doubles for those guys. So I mean, if you think about, if you could have scripted a game 1, could you have scripted it any better than that?
I could have scripted the first half a little bit better, but in terms of those 2 guys, they played incredible. Tim probably had one of his best games of his career in 2 years, so super proud of Tim. Of course, Javion had 10 rebounds, one of the best rebounding guards in the country, and then Nas had, I think it was 23 points and 13 rebounds. So, and he didn't even play a ton of minutes the second half. Neither did Javion and Tim because we were up 20-plus the last 10 minutes of the game.
So, game 2. You go up against a familiar foe, and you got to be. I mean, when you talk about a tough side of the bracket, I mean, all 16 teams were tough, but your bracket where you had to go through was tough. Sandhills comes up, and this is a big rivalry, and not much less you're on the national stage, a team you had already beaten 3 times in the season, so now you got to play them a 4th time, and we all know how difficult that is. Talk about that challenge.
Well, when the seedings came out, you know, the first thing I had to do was get our kids not to focus on the potential second-round opponent. Because if you don't get to the second round, but if you lose the first game, then it doesn't matter. So I told the kids I didn't want to hear the word Sandhills until Tuesday night after our game. And the kids did a really good job of focusing on St. Clair. But when Tuesday night did roll around and we were meeting in the hotel lobby and meeting room, the kids were just excited. They looked at it as an opportunity to play somebody they had a great scout on, and they looked at it as a chance to beat somebody that we knew could beat us, but at the same time we were familiar with. So Zay did an incredible job in that game, pressuring their point guard. And then we had some big guys step off the bench, help us rebound, because against Sand Hills, they crash so hard. And to beat a good team 3 times is difficult, but to beat them 4 times is insane because both teams know each other so well. But I was just really proud of how we, down the stretch, even though we were turning the ball over against their press, they actually took the lead. We made some big-time plays. Under a minute, we were down 1 or 2. We had a huge block by Chase Melvin. We were up 2. Tim got the rebound. They fouled him. He made both free throws. We also had Javion and LJ and Isaiah hit big free throws down the stretch as well. That
was an exciting, I'm sure, nerve-wracking final minute of that game because, like you said, I mean, you guys had built, I think, as much as a 15-point lead early in the second half, but Sand Hills made a charge back. As you know, this rivalry is usually there are close games like this, and like you said, with under a minute left, they had taken a 1-point lead. So that last minute, I thought you guys shut them down. I don't think they scored in the last minute, and you guys were able to seal it from the free throw line.
Yeah, and the timeouts, you know, I remember Javion actually, who's here tonight, saying things like, all we need is 2 more stops. And we got those stops. So it's neat to hear guys on your team in the timeout saying what I'm thinking. So, you know, Javion's grown so much in terms of being a leader and just so proud of his leadership, not just that night, but throughout the whole year, because our guys certainly followed Javion Jones.
Yeah, Javion had a big night, like you said, 23 points in that game, 9 rebounds. Isaiah Pruitt, another, player that had 18 points. So you're getting contributions now from a couple of different people outside of the game one. So you get Sand Hills under the belt. All right, they're gone 4 times in 1 year. You have a day off, right? You're coming off a day off. What was the mood of the team now getting that Thursday off?
Some of our guys, myself included, were glad to have a day off. 2 games against 2 nationally ranked top 10 teams in the country back-to-back takes a toll, not just physically but especially mentally. So the guys having that day off I thought was huge. I couldn't have scripted a better outline of our games to have the day off in the middle of the 4 games. So that was nice. We did have an hour shoot-around at an area gym. Our host set that up for us. And, we didn't do a whole lot other than get shots up and talk about our game plan for the 2 potential opponents we were going to play. I had to go scout that night. We played the winner of a game that night.
So the next opponent is going to be Garrett, the Garrett Lakers. And Garrett, because of a forfeit earlier in the season, they were undefeated. They came into the game with you guys 17-0. And they came off of an exciting overtime win against what had been the number 1 team in the country, Ancilla. So they won a very close game, 78-76 overtime. What were some of the challenges you felt Garrett was going to pose for you?
Well, they have 2 6'4", 6'5" wings. You know, our wings are 6'1" and 6'2". So I was concerned how we were going to defend that. But our guys did a phenomenal job the first 30, 32 minutes of that game. I mean, I think we held them to 19 points in the first half. And I knew they were too talented. At some point, they would make a run. I just didn't think it would be quite the run they had. They hit 11 threes in the second half, and when I went back and watched the film, I didn't watch the entire game yet, but they hit some extremely well-contested threes. They did get loose a few times, but when you hit 11 threes in a half, that's 33 points right off the bam back, So, we weren't pleased with how we guarded them in the second half, but when I look back on it, some of those shots they made were well contested, and great offense will beat great defense sometimes, and that's certainly what it was. But Isaiah, I think, at one stretch hit 6 free throws in a row, which was big, and I think we had the ball right after that, so it was almost like an 8-point possession when their coach got those 2 techs.
So you mentioned first half. I mean, this team, Garrett, they averaged on the season to 97 points a game, so they were a high-scoring team. And the defensive effort, 19 points. You guys hold them to 19 points in the first half. You're in the locker room at halftime. You're 20 minutes away now from playing in the finals. What are you telling your team about finishing hard?
Well, the first thing is we didn't want to take our foot off the gas defensively. Once you hold a team to 19 points, you're sitting there in the locker room, you're looking at your guys, and as they walk into the locker room, DJ had hit back-to-back threes. We were up close to 16 at half, I believe it was. You're concerned that the guys may subconsciously get content. So we talked a lot about the first 5 minutes of the second half, which we actually did well the first 5 minutes. We pushed the lead all the way up to 28. And then all of a sudden it was like somebody flipped a switch we couldn't throw in the ocean, and they were hitting everything. But, even at that, they cut it to 5 late, and we held on. I think won by 8 or 9. And, of course, guys were really excited to be advancing to the national championship game the next night.
You guys, I think they scored 70 points in the second half. They did make a good run on you, but you held them off, like you said. And again, you've got to be elated because you're heading to the finals. I thought the bench in that game was probably the difference, right? Because they didn't play a lot of players, and they made that comeback. They had enough in them to make the comeback, but at some point with 4 or 5 minutes left, you could see them wilt. And I thought your bench strength was probably the thing that got you the win there. Did you feel like the depth of your bench was going to be a real big advantage for you going into this tourney?
No question about it. I felt like our depth was going to be a big reason we had a good chance to survive and advance for 4 nights. And that game is an example of just that, because I think we went 12 deep in that game, and they went 7 deep, I think, maybe 8. But, late in the game, when you look how many guys I was playing late in the game, those guys making those free throws, the Isaiahs, the Javions, and all those guys, they were fresh, because I had played 12 guys. So there's no question our depth helped us in that game. So
you go to the finals. You got your first D2 finals appearance. Describe that feeling, knowing that, in 24 hours you're going to be playing for a national championship.
Well, let me first say, when you land in Illinois, you have to have transportation. So our AD, Ken Kirk, got us 4 vans for the whole week. So my van consisted of a lot of the sophomores. And I'll never forget, it was a surreal moment. We were driving to the gym for the national championship game, and one of our players, Josh Dupree, who was sitting towards the back, says to the whole van, "Fellas, we're driving to the national championship game." It was like, really? And it was just one of those moments in time you don't forget. But, everybody was so excited. The guys expected to win. I felt like we had 2 really good film sessions, had a good game plan. But they are such a difficult group to guard. Des Moines had 2 knockdown shooters. Their point guard had already signed a Division I scholarship. He played 40 minutes and didn't get tired a bit, in my opinion. And, of course, the 6'11 kids, skilled and talented. I think he finished with 13 and 13. And they run great stuff. Their coach stole all his stuff from BYU, and it was just hard to guard and prep for in just less than 24 hours.
Well, another hot start for you guys. I mean, you guys got out of the block. Took a 10-1 lead, in the blink of an eye, and then you built that lead up 18-6, 6 minutes into the ball game. At that point, you guys were obviously dictating the pace of the game. And then DMAC went on a run of their own. They went on, I think, a 19-4 run to take the lead at the half, 44-39. What were some of the things they were able to do to kind of change the flow of that game?
Well, number one, I was told today and didn't realize this, DMAC shot the ball better in the national championship game than they did any game all year.
Yep.
11 of 20 from 3, 55%, and some of those were well contested, just like it was in the semifinal game against Garrett. But, they run such good stuff, and the guys keep great spacing, and the point guard finds guys immediately when they're open. So, it was a tough game, like I said, to prepare for because they run such good stuff and they're so smart and so poised. Late in the game, we were up 7 with 7 to play, and we made some poor decisions in terms of shot selection, and I think we kind of hit the panic button a few possessions in a row, which led to run-outs for them, and that was a big part of their run to finish the game.
Well, I mean, it was a gritty game. I mean, coming out of the second half, you guys, I thought, were playing with sense of urgency, and you've talked about that. You were able to retake control of the game, so back in your favor again. Talk about the grit of your team, the grit they displayed as they opened up that second half. I mean, you guys outscored the Bears 27-15. You were up by 7 with 8 minutes to play.
There was a stretch in the second half where Javion, who's sitting right over here, just took over the game, on both ends. He was flying around getting deflections, defensive rebounds. On the other end, he was making the right decision at the right time. He wasn't over-dribbling and trying to look for either an assist or shot. He was phenomenal. He had a deep 3 right in front of our bench. He was driving and making people better. and hitting shots all over the basket. Like 3 or 4 possessions in a row, I turned to Coach Allen and Jay and said, Javion's taking over this game on both ends. But then, Des Moines is so talented. I knew at some point they would make a run, and they certainly did. It was a game of runs.
So their last run was a 20-0 run. I mean, that was the run that won them the national championship. How tough was it for you to sit over on the bench and I know, watch things go as cold as they did?
Thanks for reminding me.
Sorry about that.
It was not much fun.
Yeah.
I think I called 1 or 2 timeouts during that stretch, subbed some guys in, called every set I could think of. I obviously did not do a very good job of getting our guys to play with poise down the stretch. Our decision-making was not great offensively, which led to some of their fast breaks. So if I had to do it over again, I think I may have subbed a little bit more than I did, just because the decision-making down the stretch wasn't great. And it's something I tried to emphasize going into the tournament, half-court execution. In those settings, a lot of times it comes down to that. And late in the game, our half-court execution offensively was not very good, and theirs was very good.
So I watched the post-game interview, and I could tell you were feeling rough for your players. I mean, it hurt you to see your players, feeling the way that they were feeling after coming this close. Can you share with us a little bit about what you said to the team in the locker room after the ball game?
Well, there's no words that could take their pain away, unfortunately. So many guys in that locker room had a lot of tears. They had invested so much, and for some guys in that locker room, basketball has been the avenue to turn their life around, Miles. So for them to make it that far on that stage and not win was tough. They expected to win, which I love about them. And some of these guys have already signed to come back, and I'm super excited about. But I told them the first thing I said, one day at some point, you'll look back on this experience and you'll say to your kids, even though that was painful, I'm so glad I was part of something so special that it hurt that bad. Because most guys don't ever get to play for a national championship.
Yep.
And they had survived an advance against some of the best teams in the country all week and really all year, because Region 10 is really tough. But I couldn't be prouder of those guys. Their bond and their brotherhood, their lifelong relationships they've made with each other was obvious to everyone that saw how we interacted all week. So I'm so excited about next year because some of these guys have already signed their letter of intent to come back.
Well, you should be proud, and I know you are. I mean, this is a step. This right here, this hardware here is a first, and it's a step. It's a step for you guys, and you'll eventually get that, Coach. I mean, if you think about, obviously, wasn't the way that everybody wanted it to end, but the team accomplished a great deal this year, but really the last couple of years. So you look, you're 54-4, 2 regular season conference championships, 2 district championships. You made it all the way to the finals of the NJCAA championship. You got to be proud, and I want to know how proud of you. You talked about how proud of you are of the team, but just of the program, of the school, the administration, your other coaches, the fans, to have to go through this and do what you guys have been able to do during a COVID pandemic. I mean, it's a big accomplishment.
Well, thank you, Miles. Other than Jesus Christ, my wife, who's standing over here, and 3 daughters are truly the most important thing to me. And there's days I don't do a great job with my priorities, but honest to goodness, that is the most important thing to me. And family is incredibly important to me. And so when we started this basketball program 14 years ago, I wanted to have a family atmosphere. And there's so many people in this community, certainly our administration, but people like Brandon Mullis, who coached with me. He's here filming every Thursday night that we have this. Brian Hughes and his daughter got up and drove to Davidson-Davie Community College at 5:30 in the morning to see us off when we left to go to the Charlotte airport. He drove all the way to Danville, Illinois, 10-plus hours to see us play. My 2 best friends, Coach Mullis and David Neal, flew out there for the championship game. Larry Dollars, who drove for us last year, Scott Overton, who works at the college, drove all the way across the country to see us play. So the theme here is family. And some of these people are here tonight in this restaurant. You know, Manuel Teague, the best statistician in JUCO, him and his family are here tonight. Coach Rawls, who taught me so much when I played in high school, his wife's here tonight. You know, so we just got so many people in this community that are bought into the Storm family, and I couldn't be more blessed to have such loyal people. So, you know, I just am really proud of the family atmosphere we have, because this is much bigger than basketball for me.
Yep. Well, I agree with you, and I'm proud of you guys. So very proud. I want to throw some comments in here from Facebook. Essie Jones calls out, I'm watching Coach. He's got a big heart. Steve Swaney, great job, Matt. So proud of you guys. Congratulations to the Storm. Essie Jones, again, Davidson County Storm and Coach Ridge did an awesome job. They will always be our champions. Kevin Garner, we've talked to Kevin a lot this year. I hate that I couldn't make it to the Eatery this evening, but I'm coaching my son's ball game. But he wants to thank everyone, involved with this team and the program and how classy you guys are. So, he mentions that. Can't wait to be back in Brinkley next year, he says. So the comments continue to come in, and we'll continue to read those off. So we'll take a little bit of a break. Thank you very much for walking us through that. I really appreciate that. Speaking of family, we are going to bring in a family member of the Storm, David Tripp. David, if you want to grab this microphone here, I'll get my water out of your way. So welcome. Thank you for sharing some time with us. We had a teammate of yours, Jeremy Ritter, on the program a couple of weeks ago. So can you tell our listeners where you're from and how you ended up attending Davidson-Davie Community College?
Originally, I'm from Norwich, Connecticut. I live in the Kannapolis area, Charlotte, North Carolina area. I found Davidson County Community College because I was looking for a place to play a couple years ago. I wasn't highly recruited. I heard they had an open tryout, and I felt like I was good enough to come in to play, and I got lucky, and I got an opportunity to play for the Storm.
So you played during was it the 16, 17?
2015 through 2017.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit what it was like playing for Coach Ridge?
It wasn't easy. He was on me every single day. I was actually one of the last people to get a jersey on the team, so I was struggling to, compete with all these guys, and I never had nothing handed to me here. So I had to really learn how to compete and work, and that's really what he taught me. So to piggyback off how the experience was here, though, the experience was great. It was great competition. It had its hardships, but the fact that I went here, it gave me an advantage going into a 4-year over other people. I learned how to compete, and when I went to the 4-year level, I just made sure I dogged everybody.
Do you have a favorite Storm memory that you could share with us?
It was one time I had a bad game, and Coach Ridge called me out in front of every single body and told me straight up to my face, if you don't perform next game, you're just not going to play. I went out there the next game, and I don't remember how much I had, but I know I did good, and he came after the game and gave me a big hug and told me he's proud of me, and I've grown, mentally. That meant a lot to me, especially, being a sophomore coming from freshman year to the year after, fighting for minutes, and then, being one of the main people that's helping us win games. So it meant a lot to me, and it gave me hope that, one day I could be good if I keep my head on straight and keep working.
Well, while you were at the college, you helped lead the Storm to, I'm going to read this off, regular season championship. You had a regional championship, district championship, and then a final ranking of 1 in the nation with a 30-5 record. In 2 seasons, you guys were 60-10. That's pretty phenomenal. Your playing days weren't over, though, after that, right? You were able to go on to play for a couple of 4-year schools after playing for the Storm. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. Well, at Davidson, I worked really hard. Like I said, when I came in, I didn't have any schools. So I worked extremely hard. That first preseason practice, coach had like 5 coaches come in, and Bluefield College out of West Virginia came and contacted me and told me they were really, really interested. So to fast forward, they were the most consistent, so I went with them. It didn't really work out too well over there. It just wasn't a good fit. I got injured eventually, and then I lost my scholarship, so I had to find somewhere else to go. Fast forwarding a year and a half later, I found Milligan University, and I had 21 points a game there, and I'm looking to build off that momentum and hopefully make my dreams come true by going pro.
Now, at Milligan, you were a grad student, right?
Yep.
20 points a game, 21 points a game. You logged over 30 minutes a game, so you saw a tremendous amount of playing time there, right?
Yep.
So before we came here this week, Coach Ridge let me know that you started talking to an agent to potentially play professionally. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, coming from an NAIA, I'm not really getting recruited to go overseas as well, so I had to go to these camps. I've been to Louisville so far and Dallas. I did good in both those camps, and both agencies are looking to help me find teams. I didn't really sign with anybody, and I'm not really looking to sign unless they're able to come to me with the opportunity to play overseas, because people are signing with these agents, and then they're not going anywhere. And when it's time for them to get a job, they can't get out the contract. So I just learned from other people's mistakes, and just trying to find my way the right way.
So you mentioned something. You and I were talking a little bit before we started the show. You mentioned something about the TBL and maybe a potential there. So you go to camps and actually people come and watch you guys, and that's part of the process, right?
Yes. This is the thing, though. It's not just your average people there. These are all Americans, overseas guys. So these are blue collar people, and they're a lot bigger than me, a lot taller than me. So you got to really go at these guys for an opportunity, because everybody's hungry. So yes, you do get evaluated. It's not easy doing it. You have to be prepared. You have to be in shape. And if you don't, you're just gonna go out there and embarrass yourself.
So have you attended any camps?
I attended two so far. I ranked third, the one in Kentucky, and then the second one they didn't really do rankings like that. But the guy told me I was top 5 in the camp, so they believe that I have a chance of playing overseas or in the TBL somewhere.
Raleigh's got a TBL team. You were telling me maybe that would be a good fit for you. The Storm fans could come and actually watch you play there. So another question for you, David. What life lessons did you learn while playing at the college that will help you as you begin potentially your career professionally?
One of the main things that I learned from playing at the college is that you have to work hard for everything you have, because it can and will be taken away from you at any given moment. I feel like if you don't appreciate it, you don't work hard for it, and it'll slip. And playing for Coach Ridge, that's probably that's a quality that I had, but he really tapped me into it and made me, conscious that I had that quality in me. So I thank him a lot, because I'm very appreciative and I work hard for everything. So.
Well, Coach Ridge tells me all the time how much he cares about and how much his former Storm players mean to him. You could tell by the way you guys interacted when you walked into the Eatery tonight how evident that is, and it goes both ways. He was saying that you were the most improved player he's ever coached from freshman to the end of your sophomore year. Can you talk a little bit about, outside of basketball, the family atmosphere that's associated with Storm basketball and why so many former players like yourself come back year over year?
Well, one of the main things is when I got injured, I had an ankle injury at Bluefield that caused me to sit out for months. Coach Ridge was helping me get back into school. Coach Ridge is a very, very busy guy. He didn't have to do that. So I think that's one of the reasons why right there. He's just loyal, and if you're able to do 2 years with him, he's going to do any and everything for you. He tells you that, and he's a man of his word. And that's why a lot of people come back and they decide to come and play for him, because not only are they going to win, but they have a family atmosphere to come back to after it's over. I've graduated in 2017. It's 2021, and I'm still here talking to you, so that says a lot.
Were you able to watch any of the tournament?
Unfortunately, I wasn't, because both times he was playing, I was out of town actually competing to go overseas at these camps. But I did keep score, and I was pretty hurt that they lost in the final rounds. I know that they played hard. I know the expectations Coach Ridge has for them, and hopefully next year they can definitely come out on top. He's getting close and close every year. So,
any words of wisdom, David, you care to share with the current players or maybe players that are thinking about coming here?
If you plan on coming here, just make sure you're ready to come to work, because nothing's going to be given to you. But if you do come here and do what you're supposed to do, you will go to a 4-year, you will win, and you will get the exposure you need to get. And that's the most important part, especially coming from a junior college, because you can get lost in the system. So if you're looking for your opportunities to get increased and going to school, Matt Ridge is the guy to go to. But like I said, he's not going to just sit here and hand it to you. You got to earn everything you got, because everybody here is good.
Well, we certainly appreciate you sharing that advice and also for your time, for coming up here and spending some time with us and for the interview. We certainly appreciate that, David, and we wish you all the best of luck as you continue on with your basketball journey.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
David Tripp, well-spoken young man. Coach, we're doing more here, right?
Yep. We have some legends in the house,
Okay.
actually. John Rawls, I think he won 13 state championships. And when I was in middle school, coming through Ledford Middle School, he was the women's varsity coach at the high school. I would go to camp every summer. He would pull me aside at camp and kick my butt in one-on-one. But when I was a senior, he stopped playing me. I don't know why, but maybe you can ask him. Coach Rawls, can you come up, please? Coach Rawls has helped me while I've been in at the college. I've picked his brain. His teams always seem to peak in the off season, so I've been in my last 14 years asking him a ton of questions. So, John Rawls.
Coach, thank you for coming in, sharing some time with us. I know this is unexpected for you probably, but talk about so 13 championships at Ledford. I know from following and from living in the community, a lot of those were with girls basketball, but there are other championships you won there as well, right?
We won some with girls basketball. We won some with softball. Got into golf. We won some with boys golf and with girls.
Now, before you came up, Coach Ridge was talking about those championships and how you were able to get kids to be peaking at the right time. I mean, when you're in championship situations, when you're in postseason play, it really is a one-and-done situation. If you lose, you go home, take inventory, and go home. Right. How were you able to get the kids to perform at a high level during those periods?
Well, I'm pretty sure Matt does a little bit of the same thing, in that you get to that point where they got to. You get to the point where you've finished your regular season, you've won the regionals, and then you win the district. And you can look at them and go, you know, guys, I mean, even before they go to the regionals, you can look at them and say, guys, if you're worried about us having to win this, and this to be successful, you don't have to worry about it, because you're already successful. You've already done a lot of stuff, and now you just go play. And you play as hard as you can, play as well as you can, play as much together, and you see what happens. And if he's coaching them, they're going to be really good.
So give us some of your memories for Coach while he was at Ledford. Can you tell us some stories? You can tell us any story, good or bad.
Well,
Matt's leaving the restaurant now.
No, he's Matt might have been like the ultimate Frisbee champion in fitness class. The day that we took off, we would go outside and play ultimate Frisbee, and he might have been the champ. And yes, it's true, I didn't play him anymore my senior year. You know, I was about 45 years old or something like that, and you know, so I couldn't, you know, I couldn't. I had to keep my perfect record intact. Some of the boys now that were on the golf team, we'd play for like Diet Dr. Peppers. You know, go out and play 9 holes for a Diet Dr. Pepper, and by the end of the season, they'd owe me a case. Now I see them, they want to go out and they want to play for another beverage entirely, and there's no way I can, you know, I just tell them, hey, look, whatever you want, I'll just buy it. Because
Do you guys still play today? You guys still play golf today?
Well, No, we haven't played much. He doesn't have much time.
Oh, okay.
I'm retired. I got lots of time. But I will tell you this, that we played at Jamestown in the middle. He was into golf so much. We played at Jamestown in the middle of a hurricane. It was raining sideways. The trees were bending over. Stuff was, garbage cans were getting blown away. And we're out there playing golf. I don't know if we finished that day. We didn't finish the back nine anyway.
So being in this area, as long as you've been here, you've been able to watch Coach Ridge in his coaching career. As he coached at East, and he went off and coached a little bit at Guilford College and came back. But he built this Storm program. How proud of you are you of the job that he's done?
Oh, for me, I had very little input when he was playing in high school. I mean, I had him in fitness class, and I'd watch them practice and watched all their games. But, Robert Kent and Greg McKenzie and those guys were, they did a great job with those guys. And those guys did a great job doing what they wanted. And then it's to see, what Matt's doing now, it's really, really great to see that program that's been built from, it's been built up since he got there. And they've reached really great heights and may not be done yet.
I can tell you they're not. I mean, this right here is just a piece of the journey for this team and this program. Now, Matt's over here hugging one of his daughters, and I want to ask you, because I think you had a daughter that played for you, right?
I did.
So how difficult was that to coach a team and you're the father, but you got to be the coach too, right?
Well, I got to sleep on the couch some my freshman year.
Yeah. She's shaking her head.
Yeah, that coach back there said, your daughter should be playing more.
Well,
and unfortunately, she didn't play more.
Yeah.
So I had to sleep on the couch.
Did you have a chance to watch any of the national tournament?
I did not.
Okay.
Sadly, I did not.
Anything you'd say? I know Javion Jones is here, and some of the players are maybe listening. Anything you'd like to say to those young men?
All I can say is that in the years that I've been watching them play, I love watching those guys play. They put heart and soul into what they do, and you can tell, they're passionate. They believe in what they're doing. They play together. All the things that you want a team to do, and gosh, they play so incredibly hard that, other teams, when they walk into the Storm gym, they got to be going. They're not going like, all right, we're getting to play the Storm tonight. They're like, oh my God, we got to go play the Storm. They're going to just be up and down, up and down. I can't do it. Coach, you better have the subs ready. Stuff like that.
So I want to thank you for spending some time with us. Number one, coming out, spending some time with us here. Also,
I missed every other one. I get invited, and I miss every one.
But you came to the most important one.
Well, yeah, my wife said, well, you want to go see Matt? And I said, I don't know. I got practice. And she said, well, you can skip that. My practice was over anyway. But I was skipping it.
Well, it was a pleasure to have you here, and not just for the 13 championships, but I just personally want to thank you for the difference you've made in these many years in the lives of young men and women. It's not the wins and losses and the championships, but the differences that you make. And coaches are special people. So thank you for that, Coach.
Thank you. That's one of the most fun things that you do.
Yep.
So I really, just to watch kids come in and you see them go from freshmen to seniors and grow, and get better. You coaches are
special breed of folks. So thank you for everything, Coach.
You're welcome.
Coach John Rawls, as Matt said, a legend here in the area. So, Coach, I got a couple more coming in here. Let's see. Pam Henderson, great season. Storm, you're awesome, Coach Ridge. Charity Ross, let's go Storm. Brian Hughes, we're watching, Coach. Thank you for a tremendous season. Dexter Williams, great season. We could have had Dexter here spinning balls and stuff. Pam Henderson, again, thank you, Coach. Awesome season. Benita Jones, good luck, young man. Heather Branscombe, what a blessing this season has been to watch. Thank you to every person for such hard work, putting so much heart into this season. She can't wait to watch more games in person next year. And so a lot of folks watching tonight and sending thanks.
Her son Dylan was unbelievable this year. He was our manager at every practice, an hour plus before every practice to do all the COVID stuff. So thanks so much, Heather, for your son's loyalty and hard work. I do want to say John Rawls didn't even mention in the 70s, I believe. What year did you win the national championship at Guilford? 70 what? 73. He and my high school coach, Robert Kent, was on the team at Guilford College, and World Be Free, ML Carr, that group, they won the national championship. So he's a national champion. And hopefully one day we can get over the hump to do just what he did. So John Rawls, thank you so much. He did impact my life more than he gave himself credit for. Really, he did. I had him as a teacher in class, but more importantly, I was around him year-round in the gym at Ledford because he was there running camps and all that stuff. So great coach, but even better person.
Jack Jensen was the coach there at the time, right? Yeah. So thank you, Coach, for being a guest, and certainly David. I think David's had to leave. So final questions. We'll wrap it up as we draw to a close, and really it's been a nice night. I know that you're still dealing with this season, and it's been a long season. But you really got to start thinking about next year, and you may have been thinking about next year on your plane ride home. Have you been able to get out over the last couple of months and do any kind of recruiting at all? And will you take any time off before you hit the recruiting trail hard again?
I was recruiting in the airport. We have recruits coming up tomorrow, so I've been working all week to get recruits up for tomorrow and Saturday morning, and 2 open gyms next week. So we have 4 groups of recruits coming up over the next week. Recruiting is about 364. The only day I take off is usually Christmas, to be honest with you. It's the backbone of every program, and I believe if you outwork people, that's a way you can eventually win a national championship. So we work pretty hard at recruiting. I've met with, I think, 8 of our 20 players. I've got 3 more meetings tomorrow. I'm excited to have that young man back next year. I can't tell you how excited I am to have Javion back as one of our leaders. He was our only captain this year. That young man is special, for a lot of reasons. So thank you for coming tonight. And your young friend over there, thank you for coming out, Renata. But we have several guys like Javion who are going to be a third-year player for us, which is unusual. COVID gave everybody an extra free year. So we have some sophomores that have already made the decision to turn down some full scholarships to go to the 4-year level and come back, even though I told them in our meeting I have no problem with them moving on. But they actually were telling me, after the game on Saturday night, they were definitely coming back. So, got some special young men coming back, so I'm excited.
Yeah, that's really awesome news. It really is. It's terrific news. And, again, you can start the season out next year with some unfinished business, right? I mean, you've been on the stage now. You've got a piece of some hardware. It's time to go get. I think you had said, your goal, one of your goals when you took this program, when you started this program from scratch, was to win a national championship in your 15th year. Next year is your 15th season, right?
That's right.
So, is Jared going to do anything?
Jared Bowman, come on over for a second. This guy right here works his tail off behind the scenes, so I want him to say a few words. I know we're running out of time, but Jared, please come on over. This guy works relentless behind the scenes to even make this show possible. He is the head of our marketing department. So, Jared Bowman, the man, the myth, the legend.
So, head of the marketing department, Jared, I think you and I were talking earlier this season. This is your second go-round, their second tour of duty at the college, correct?
That's right. Yeah, I worked at the college about 5 years ago, and worked for about 2.5 years, and now I just started back about 7-8 months ago. Yeah.
So we're glad you're back. Folks don't realize the amount of work it takes to put a show like this on, and or a live broadcast of a game on. Talk about the typical afternoon that you have for this coach's show and for game day. What all you have to do to get us on the air.
Yeah, so I think COVID took everybody by surprise, and so different organizations had different levels of technology ready to go for streaming and that sort of thing. But we were fortunate to be able to piece together some technology to try to bring the fans into the community for this season. Streaming on Thursday nights. We get here about. Coach Ridge and I usually hear about an hour before a Thursday night stream, and we're setting up, and then you and he are talking through questions and that sort of thing. So there definitely is some time that goes in behind the scenes, and then for the games, Tristan Wells is a big part of that behind the scenes, setting up for the streaming of the games and going to the away games and streaming those as well. But like I said, we were fortunate enough to piece together some equipment to be able to try to bring a little bit better experience with you and Kip doing some commentary throughout the games. I think that was a big step up, and then we're hoping that next season we can even take it up a few more notches and have even more of a experience for those people at home to enjoy the game.
So it wasn't enough just to get on the air. You've been looking at ways to enhance the broadcast. You were telling me you were doing research and showing me some examples of maybe some cameras that you could get to maybe make the viewing experience better.
That's right. Yeah. So I have a audio-video background, but I have very little background in sports. I've watched more basketball in the last 6 months than I ever have in my life, and learning things every day, and just interesting just to kind of see how the technology kind of spills over into that realm. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of cool things out there, a lot of neat toys that four-year schools are using that hopefully that we can work towards getting our online experience more like what someone will watch on a four-year school. So.
Well, you've been really busy. Any plans for the off season?
Let's see. I think Matt will probably text me less than he has over the last 6 months, but no. Really just putting together some ideas of. Hopefully this summer we'll be working to put together some ideas for getting ready for the fall for the technology in Brinkley Gym.
Well, it's been a pleasure working with you.
Absolutely, you too. Yeah, it was great
this year. I can't wait till next year. Thank you for all you do, Jared. And any final comments to Coach Ridge and the team on the season?
I appreciate you letting me be a part of it. It was fun. Absolutely. I'm gonna turn this back over to you.
Jared Bowman, who is the head of marketing and the guy really that is responsible for getting us on the air here and during the ball game. So thank you, Jared. Appreciate that. We'll have to get Coach Mullis on at some point too for doing the camera work. So if you think about now, we're putting, I guess, the bow on this season. It's been a quick season actually for me. It seems like it's been a quick season. I don't know for you, but I can't wait for next season to start. I'm already thinking about it. First of all, any immediate needs that you guys have, how can folks get in touch with you and help Storm basketball?
Well, obviously, I've talked about it before. I'm already running out of scholarship money. I've given some of our returners quite a bit because I think they deserved just that. But, if anybody's interested in writing a check for athletic scholarships, they could certainly call, text, or email me, and I could kind of guide them through that process. We do have a scholarship endowment at the college where the money sits in the endowment and we get a certain percentage of that off the interest every year annually. So we're trying to build that up as well. But you can give to each year's scholarship where the money goes to all three sports proportionally. With Title IX, it's split up. But, just again, want to thank the community. I want to thank you, Miles, for your time. because you put a lot of work in behind the scenes, coming up with all these questions, doing your homework on our opponent, always being prepared for every home game. So thank you, Jared. Thank you, Coach Mullis, Matt Jacobs, the Eatery, just everybody that helps make all this stuff happen.
I think we all enjoy it. I mean, it's fun. It definitely is fun, and it's great to be involved with you guys. It's a classy program, and the young men are great. You're great, and the administration. I mean, it's fun to be around.
Well, it's just a family.
Yeah.
I mean, we got Scott Overton, who's kept the clock for 14 straight years. I don't think he's missed but maybe 1 or 2 games in 14 years. Larry Dollars, who drove the bus for us the last couple of years, he's here tonight. And our bus driver, who just left for this year, was here. So it's a big family.
Well, we appreciate you, the Storm family out there watching and have been supporting us all year long. Absolutely amazing, and we hope you've enjoyed this season. I know I certainly have. Congratulations again on this. I know you've still got work to do, and I know that you'll go out there and get it. But again, congratulations on a great year, Coach.
Well, I'm going to sign off by saying the same thing I said in Danville. We'll be back.
Sounds good. We'll be back. I can't wait for next season to start.